good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Anello Show on WJJL 1440, and you can call us live at 297-1059. But today we're going to talk a little bit about education, and you know we do have a school board election here in the city of Niagara Falls next month. There's also school board elections in other municipalities. The one here in Niagara Falls, all I hear is silence. You know, I don't hear any discussion at all in the city of Niagara Falls, or any place else for that matter, other than the discussions that we had about Common Core. And those are quieted down because now that the state of New York backed off a little bit, we don't hear anything about what are we doing specifically, hands-on, that's going to impact positively the education of our kids. I don't hear any of that whatsoever. But let me go no further with my rant, and let's introduce our guest. Our guest is Darren Sneed, and he's running for a school board at Niagara-Wheatfield. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, sir.
How you doing today?
I'm doing well, a little tired. Worked last night. You know, got a little email.
I know you had a short notice about coming on the show, and we do have some callers on the line already, but just tell us a little bit about yourself and the reason why you want to run for the board.
Yes, as we said, my name is Darren Sneed. And I was born in Holyoke, Massachusetts. My father was in the Air Force, grew up mostly in Virginia. I myself am a retired 24-year active duty Army guy myself. The first time that I got stationed here in Niagara Falls was 1993. And what happened was me and my family decided we was looking for a place to, you know, have kids start off their school. So we moved to the town of Wheatfield. Actually, we rented in the town of Niagara, I meant. And they started off in school in the Wheatfield School District. And over the years, my family has stayed here because I thought it was a strong school district and they had the proper amount of programs that my kids can be interested to when they grow up. So from 93 into 2008, I moved, I got stationed back, I moved, and I got stationed back. And that's how much I really care about Niagara-Wheatfield School District and the education of the kids when they was in school. The reason why I want to become a board member is because it's basically over the last, I'll say, 5 or 6 years, things have changed. And what I mean by that is like the state comptroller said, we are in fiscal stress right now. And there's different reasons why I'm in fiscal stress, and part of it's the GEA, but I will stop right there for now.
Okay, and I'm sure that the entire community should at least respect the fact that there are people interested in the school board, and you know that's one way of generating the discussion.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I feel good about that, and I on behalf of everybody out there, I just want to thank you for participating. Well, we're I really want to talk about education.
I do too, sir.
You know, I want to talk about education, and you know, the big issue recently was about Common Core, and,
Yes,
and as I mentioned at the beginning, it kind of backed off a little bit. I know the reaction that we had here locally about Common Core.
Yes.
From the school district or from the teachers basically and the parents. What was the reaction in Niagara-Wheatfield? Was it the same level of discussions?
Yes, it was the same level of discussion as far as how it was rolled out. Did anybody have any proper input as far as the making of the standards? I can agree with that. But I don't think that's one of the main things that's going on in education today, especially with Niagara-Wheatfield. Niagara-Wheatfield has you mentioned it earlier about the foils and the young lady you talked to. We have a funding issue. The funding issues is the GEA, the Gap Elimination Adjustment that was started by Governor Patterson in 2010. And what that program was designed to do was to balance the state budget using more funds from education instead of giving it to the districts. What they did was they kept it to balance the budget with the state. And what happens was they started off with a $10 billion budget, and then like 5 years later, they're at a $2 billion surplus. Now, over those 5 years, Niagara-Wheatfield School District has been shorted, I say shorted, over $22 million. And over those same time frames, we have have cut close to that. So my opinion is that the GEA has to be repealed, eliminated, balled up, thrown in the trash can because it's hurting the school districts. Niagara-Wheatfield, Newport, Niagara Falls to some degree. You'll have a little more different issues in Niagara Falls, though. Now, the strange thing about it is they say, okay, we're going to give you some back, right? We're going to restore some of your funding, right? We got restored this past year, $600, and I'll say some $1,000. And they said it was an increase. No, it wasn't an increase because we got shorted $3.4 million. And then when you give me $600,000 back and call it an increase, no. What it is a decrease disguised as an increase. We need to stop that because it's killing the school districts out there. Over the last 3 years, we've lost around 15% of teachers, administrations around 31%, SRPAs 17%, non-contractual positions 26%. It's killing the school district. They want you to do more with less. It's like telling me I got a farm, you want me to cut my hay with scissors. You can do it, but it's going to be hard, and it's going to be hard work.
When it comes to the school district, how many, the election, how many seats are open this year?
3 seats will be up for.
All the incumbents running again, as far as you know?
As far as I know, it's 2 out of the 3 that's running again, yes.
Okay, so there'll be a sort of uncontested seat other than the people that are challenging
yes.
The new candidates, let's put it that way.
Yes, it's 5 new and 2 incumbents, yes.
Okay, if you want to go back to the cause, this is the Vince Anello show, and I'm here with Darren Sneed. He's running for Niagara-Wheatfield School Board. And caller, you're on. Yes.
First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Sneed for making the effort to run for the school board. It takes a lot of guts to do that.
That's true. I agree with that. Yep.
I want to ask you to clarify something. There was a fellow named Brian that on another show talks about the busing issue in Niagara-Wheatfield, and he claims through all of his information that he got, like you did, Vince, that if they would stop keeping their own buses and give it out to another company, they would save millions of dollars in salaries, because then the guys who are getting a certain amount of money and ladies to drive those school buses, and they're part of the system, they could get a pension at the time they retire. And he said they could eliminate all that. Have you had any contact with the board that's currently there about changing the policy of busing children?
Okay, we'll have Mr. Sneed answer that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, caller. There was a group that was requested to come in and do basically a study on the busing system. And what the busing system, excuse me, what the study basically said was that at this particular time, the way Niagara-Wheatfield is financially, it is not in the best interest of the school district to do that at this time. Now, will it happen in the future? I don't know. Will it save the millions of dollars? I don't know. But what I do know is that when companies come in, we're going to have to renegotiate or redo the contracts, because those bus drivers are under contracts. So somebody's going to get bought out of a contract. How much is that going to cost, right? Then they're going to take over the buses. Now we lose control of the buses. We just had a bomb scare a couple of months ago. Now if you got a privatized company, that's going to be way more extra than what it cost us that day. So everything could be reevaluated. Everything, it should be on the table. But if it don't make sense at this particular time, you can't do it.
Well, thank you for that answer. And again, I want to remind you that we're here with Darren Sneed, and you can call at 297-1059. He's running for the school board in Niagara-Wheatfield. It's the Vince Anello Show, and you can call us live at 297-1059. Caller, you're on.
Hi. First I want to thank you, Vince, for taking my call. And I'm going to really want to pick your mind. We're getting back to the school issues.
Yes, please. Yes.
I am a graduate in Niagara-Wheatfield.
Yes.
Moved here, was married here, so my children could go to Niagara-Wheatfield. What is driving most parents like myself up a wall is the local officials who have been just bombarded by phone calls, emails. They are not stepping up to the plate. So I want to get your kind of feedback and pick your mind a little bit. If you're getting bombarded by parents saying, you know, we want the GEA eliminated, we want this, we want that. People are not getting phone calls back. They're getting form emails, I would call them. Give us the political side of this.
Well, the political side, and I'm going to have Mr. Sneed, certainly answer that question with his point of view on this because he's running for the board over there in Niagara-Wheatfield. But listen, politics works with pressure. You have to apply pressure, and believe it or not, it has to be steady pressure. The bombastic situation where we go to a council meeting or a town board meeting, we yell and scream at the elected officials, call them all kinds of names, and then we go back to their own lives, doesn't work. The only way politics moves, because it's a big ship, it's just like a little tugboat. You got to keep pushing, steady, slowly, steady, and you finally start turning it around. And that's what people have to do. But let me have Mr. Sneed, make his comments on that particular issue because he mentioned it in part of his presentation.
Ma'am, I'm just as frustrated as you are. Now, I've got those same form letters that you have. Now, my opinion is kind of sad because if we send you an email, we call you, we at least should get a phone call back. Yep. Some people do, some people don't. Now, the last letter I got, it took 30 days for my senator to respond to me, and I think that is, I'm just going to say it. I think it's kind of substandard. I know he sent me a letter saying he voted no for the GEA, but also we need to keep the pressure on. I don't know if you've heard me speak before at a school board meeting or the Niagara-Wheatfield community. School district community page. As many of us now that's on that page is speaking up. We need the grassroots effort, keep the emails going, right? I know we do, like last year we went to a rally in Albany. I didn't go, but I know a couple of people that went to the rally in Albany. No, they got offices right here in Niagara Falls. Also, we need to stay on them. Now, no offense to the gentleman just called, that's one of the things. People are not concerned, not you, ma'am, not you, about education. This is an education show. I know, Vince, this is your show. It's not the Darren Sneed show. But
today I want to make it the Darren Sneed
okay.
show.
We talking about education, and we talking about foils. We talking about abandoned buildings. But I tell you what, if we don't educate the kids, I'm going to say in Niagara-Wheatfield, next off where I'm from, we're going to have abandoned buildings too. Right? If we don't get proper funding for our school, we're going to have abandoned buildings too. We move into this district to what? Have a good education, to have programs so our kids can be well-rounded. We're lacking that funding, right? Some parents I've talked to when I go walking out the street, well, this is why I moved here. I'm thinking about moving out. I'm like, no. What we do is we apply the pressure, put the foot on them, and keep going. That's the only way we can do it. We got to be a community. We can't have sidebar issues. We got to focus as one. One voice is louder than three or four, voices. You can't understand what people are talking about if we go in different directions. Now, I feel your pain, ma'am. I got a granddaughter, and she came to, Dad, Grandpa, save our school. Well, Grandpa can try to save your school, but it's going to have to be a community effort to save the school.
Well, I have to be honest. The responses I got from the local leaders, just form letter. And we all know if it was an election year for either one of them, they have been invited to school board meetings and not showed.
I've invited one or two of them, ma'am.
Absolutely ridiculous. Oh, I did myself as well. And, I got to tell you, responsibly, we had the discussion in our home, how many more times can we take a tax increase like this before, the for sale sign goes out or our kids get sent to Niagara Catholic or what have you? I mean, it's getting to be ridiculous. You look at the cuts that were in the Niagara Gazette today. I feel terrible for some of these kids that maybe need a swimming scholarship or something like that. All that's getting cut.
I agree with you.
To be addressed too. If they don't get that 4.8 increase this time, then they're going to bring this back around to the voters again at a lower rate. And I have to tell you, I don't even want to get up the next morning after that gets rolled out. You know, how bleak is that presentation going?
Ma'am, it's really bleak. Like the superintendent said, we're not cutting fat anymore. We're going to internal organs now. And some of the cuts she was talking about, I'm just going to go with some of the sports: tennis, golf, bowling, cross country, winter cheerleading. Never seen a basketball team without a cheerleading team till this year for Niagara-Wheatfield. Yes, we're going to try to fundraise for them, but we shouldn't have to fundraise for them if we are properly funded. Yes, people got the right to be upset about tax increases, but we also have to look at the alternative. I've talked to people, I've talked to elderly people, I've talked to people with kids, I've talked to people without kids. You know, everybody is concerned about this. We cannot continue to balance the budget off of the backs of the taxpayers.
Right, and that's what's happening. And the sad thing is that I know a lot of parents don't get is that